Greetings and welcome back to the landscape. So today is bright, hazy sunshine. It's actually perfect for this kind of location. No harsh shadows, no bright highlights. But I'm actually opting to travel light today and have a play with my infrared camera, my Panasonic Lumix GX7. Now, I worked out a long time ago that for me anyway, infrared is about shape and structure. It has this wonderful ability, especially in woodland, to pick out shapes in the trees alongside the foliage. In colour, the green and the brown of the barks, the contrast isn't quite so extreme as it is in infrared, which is why I've chosen to come out with the infrared camera today, because the conditions that we've got today should be absolutely perfect for that kind of approach. So I'm gonna have a little bit of a womble through this piece of woodland, and we're gonna see what structures we can find. Let's go that way. This is exactly the kind of thing that I'm referring to when I talk about infrared being able to pick out structure. The shapes and lines of these interlocking trees will stand out almost jet black in infrared, with all of the green foliage being a lot paler in colour. Therefore, you can actually pick out and identify the interlocking shapes much more strongly in infrared than you can in colour. Now, the only thing to watch is that, of course, the ground is also going to appear relatively dark, because that doesn't reflect infrared light, it absorbs it. So minimizing the ground, the foreground, is going to be crucial to allowing this structure here to have the loudest voice in the final frame. Now, I've already composed the image and I've already taken it, but I went for a 16:9 crop because it's relatively, the depth is relatively shallow, but you've still got the width in order to take in this interlocking shape. So here's another great example of using infrared to help us with shape and texture. So this tree here in the background, ignore this one, which rises up, and then there's all these lovely shapes that come out from right to left. Well, in front of it is a dirty great big holly bush, which ordinarily in a colour image you'd hate it. You'd want to get the secateurs out and start chopping it down. But with infrared, because it blends into all the green around it, you barely notice it. That allows you to then concentrate on the structure in the tree beyond. Again, for this image, I've gone for 16:9 in order to concentrate on the shape of the tree and the texture within the tree itself. One thing I am battling with is background scrub. If there is a subject where there is like a soil bank behind it, because the soil bank doesn't reflect infrared light, it appears very dark. And sometimes that can interfere with the structure of the tree. So there are a few trees I've walked past where I've looked at them through the infrared camera and I've had to let them go because the darkness of the background interferes with the structure of the tree, which is of course what it is that I'm trying to say within the actual image. But yeah, I really like that. And thank heavens I brought the infrared camera with me today so I could largely ignore that holly bush. So hopefully you can make out this branch that's sticking out over the water. Let me just point it out for you on the video camera. It's quite small in the frame. It's this branch here, and then underneath it is a reflection. Now, I've been able to get quite close to it from here, but if I If I go too far to the left, then this tree here gets in the way. So let me just have a quick look through the viewfinder. I can just about single it out. Where's my level meter gone? I'm just going to take the image first. And then what I might do actually is I might go and get a bit closer. Yeah, I might try and get a bit closer. So what we've got is the branch itself, the real branch, is relatively grey. I think it's because it's got moss on it, whereas the reflection is completely black. So you've got this lovely symmetry between the two. And then there's a little double leaf sticking out from the tree. There's also a piece of grass, which I don't like, but it's there. But I'm actually going to see if I can get a little bit closer without getting my feet wet. So here we go.
I've really not got the right footwear to be doing this today, but there we are. Right. Yay, I didn't get my feet wet. Right, what I might actually be able to do.
Right, but now what I can now do, being a bit closer, is home in. Yeah, that's lovely. So now I've got this little twig with the two leaves on it, then our proper real branch sticking down into the water, and then the reflection. What we've also got is the tree up above. It's got quite a V shape to it, and we've just got a hint of the reflection of that tree as well. But again, it's the infrared, the impact of infrared, that's allowing all of that to stand out and take centre stage, a lot more so, as I've said already, than colour. So now I'm going to do the exact reverse of what I was doing with trees. So with trees, I was using the fact that the tree trunk doesn't necessarily reflect infrared light, so it shows up dark in the frame, and you can therefore see its shape and its line and its structure. The foliage around it appears pale in contrast. If you remember, also the ground, because that doesn't reflect infrared light, that's also appearing to be dark, and I'm needing to be careful to control the amount of foreground or choose scenes where there isn't a lot of ground in it in order to interfere with the shape of the tree. Here I'm doing the reverse. Here I've got the end of a fern, and it's actually taken a little bit of finding, but I've managed to find one where the tip of the fern is over some ground, and the ground is almost completely bare of any other vegetation. The result of which is the fern and its structure and its shape stands out because it's pale against the dark background. Now, admittedly, you could do this in colour, right? The fact that the ground is brown and the fern is green, you know, the contrast between the two is very high. But I'm just trying to demonstrate or give you an example of where you can flip IR on its head and still use it to your advantage. So I think that's going to have to be a square. I'm going to twist the camera to one side. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. I like that. Thank you, little phone. Very good. So this one's going to be a bit difficult to capture on video, and I do apologise for that. But my fifth and final subject is this tree in the distance, which ordinarily on a day where you've got a blank, boring, uninteresting sky, you'd probably ignore it. But in infrared, because you're using the infrared effect to pick out the structure, and because the sky doesn't appear to be quite so dominant, I think because the structure's so strong, you don't tend to notice it. At least you don't tend to notice it quite so much. Now, the tree, this tree in the background, it nestles in between two bushes. So compositionally, I'm trying to find a balance between those two objects in the corners. I'm also making sure I don't clip the top and the left-hand corners to actually introduce more blank sky than I need to, but I'm just allowing the structure of the tree to do the talking. And I mean, I have to say it's a really, really simple image, but it's a simple image with a simple message that people will simply understand. Whether they'll simply just scroll past it, I don't know, but I quite like it because I like the structure. And like I said right at the very beginning, that's what IR is about for me. It's about highlighting and presenting structure and line and shape. Right, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I love infrared photography. I know it's not to everybody's tastes, but I think it's a very useful, creative tool to have in the photographer's toolbox. I've made a couple of infrared videos previously. If you browse through the contents, you'll find them, but this is relatively inexpensive. So I bought the camera pre-converted. I think it cost me 150, 160 pounds, something like that, which I know that's, you know, not a insignificant sum of money, but, you know, in comparison to a couple of £1,000 for a decent mirrorless full frame, that's actually relatively cheap. The lenses I'm using, these are the lenses that I had for my Olympus Micro Four Thirds system. So I already had them. So I deliberately chose the camera on the basis that I'd be able to use lenses that I already had. On a bright day like today, with the sun trying to come through, I will always put the IR camera in my bag. As I say, I found it to be a very useful tool to have when I'm in situations like this, and let's say normal colour photography doesn't necessarily work so strongly to portray what's going on all around you. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked today's content, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. If you like landscape photography, be it infrared, black and white or colour, please consider becoming a subscriber if you're not already. It's free to do so, and you can unsubscribe at any time. So until we're next back out in the landscape, everybody stay well, stay safe. Please do take care of each other.